What if the future of resort management meant fewer headaches, faster onboarding, and better owner experiences? Well, I'm Sharon Scott Wilson, publisher of Resort Trades Media Group, and today we're diving into exactly that with Mike Norton of TimesShareWare. In this episode of Inside Timeshare Tech, we explore how today's IT tools are transforming the way timeshare resorts and travel clubs operate. Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to sign up for our free weekly e-newsletter at resorttrades.com. And if you'd like to receive our free monthly print magazine by mail, then give Marla Carroll a call. She's at 931-484-8819. And now let's get into the conversation with Mike Norton. How is resort management evolving as platforms move from on-premises systems to cloud and web-based architecture? Great question.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing in the industry this need for some real difference in how people are managing the software. Now, we have both options still today. We have our workhorse in our software that we provide it's still it can be an on-prem, it can be hosted. But we see a lot of customers who are really struggling to manage those systems. I just had someone call me, unfortunately, this past week saying that they were involved in a ransomware attack. And that left their software compromised as we tried to help get them back up and running. So it's really, it's twofold. It's not only the security, like I'm referring to here in this example, but also we see that customers really need that ability to, or resorts really need that ability to go and easily put the software out for everyone to see and to get access to it without having to have a lot of IT management. And that's one of the big benefits of really moving to that cloud-based setting. So not only their overhead internally, they want somebody who, they don't have to be an IT shop, they can give it to somebody else. They can focus on what they do best, which is taking care of guests, making sure owners are happy, selling timeshares. But then they also don't have to worry about the difficulty of deployment for their internal users.
Yeah, that's great. And particularly, as turnover occurs frequently among staff, it's good to be able to have a user-friendly option for resorts, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that anytime you can reduce the training time so that it's simpler for you to onboard new employees. Now, let's keep in mind, Timeshare is really unique in what it does, that it's not as simplistic as some hotels, although there's always a hotel component. So we've got a little bit more complexity in there, not huge. And the way that we try to develop our software is really make it easy for folks to let the rules drive what the experience of the user is. But that should really be seamless for them, that really they're trying to get their hands around the jargon, the process. So let's make the software really work well for them. And that's what we try to do. Yeah. I think that's what most systems are trying to do nowadays. Keep that simple.
And I noticed your next question, you've mentioned Owner Hub, which I presume is your portal for customers to go in and make some changes, and maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's this balance between folks who, everybody wants an owner portal, but there's this balance between folks who want something that's quick, easy, gets them what they need without a very large price tag for development efforts. I think sometimes it's underestimated. If I want a custom portal with all the bells and whistles, I want it to do a lot of great different things, that's great. But sometimes you're asking for a lot of extras that you may not anticipate the costs. So Owner Hub, in this case, or any web portal that is developed that is really off the shelf, may not give you the full flexibility of everything you want, but it gives you something quick, easy, simple to understand. It gets those owners off of the phones when they're trying to call into your customer relations department, your owner relations department, membership services, and getting them online where they can self-serve, which is so much what we're doing nowadays. I mean, I rarely call my bank because I do so much online. Same thing here with that ability. And that, again, kind of going back to your staff, that allows my staff to focus on how do I take care of that customer better? I don't have to worry about just answering questions that they can answer for themselves.
So does it allow for payments, for owners to make payments and place reservations, or ask questions?
Yeah, all that. In fact, it really gives owners that ability to see their, let's call it their owner statement online, so they can see all of their fee payments that that they owe or that they have paid, that they can see their contract information so they know what they have, because sometimes that's a question, especially for those who have multiple contracts and multiple use time in different sites. And then also, like you said, that ability to take the payments right online, as well as create reservations, maybe their bonus time or some other opportunities that they may have to utilize time, even as an owner rental, maybe kind of a special you have for your owners. That's all accessible within an owner portal. The last thing we love is the ability for owners to update their information, their email, their phone number, their address. Now, there may be some contractual obligations in there, but we enable that or disable that depending on what resorts may want. But yeah, it's full self-service, and that ability to process news. We have a section in ours that really allows extra links to websites that are in the local area of the property, or maybe a board of director voting, those types of things that can help them get more news, maybe a newsletter of what's going on within their ownership circle.
That's great. So question number 3 has to do with API first design. So explain that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, I'd love to. Now, this goes back to those resorts that may be a little larger. They've got a development staff, or they've got a contracted developer, and they're really trying to say, hey, how can I tie into my system? Many will have database access, but if you're really managing your network appropriately, you're going to be very careful about what you give direct database access to. And so APIs give those links, those hooks into your data to either push data or pull data. And the design of our applications is changing so that we are fully based off of, in our enterprise level applications, those connections, everything that the app does is made with an API. And that way it kind of puts a layer in between the database and the back end systems, so that you can really delineate and keep that security that we need. Plus, it gives these extensibility options. You can really get somebody who's doing some development for you. You can build off those. You can pull data in. And that's just for those ways that you want to integrate. Makes it a lot better for you to tie into other systems. That's really where almost everybody's going.
That's really next level. So that's good.
Yeah.
So Mike, what about data privacy and security? Do you care to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's becoming a big, it's always been a big thing. I mean, with GDPR on the horizon, we're always looking to find ways that we can make sure to value even more closely customer data, owner data, guest data, whatever that may be, and care for it appropriately and remove it appropriately when we need to. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that you've got those systems in place. I would say many will try to forego ease of access for reports, interfaces, and other things versus the complexity and maybe overhead of making sure that privacy is cared for. It's just something to evaluate. Each resort needs to evaluate their own thing. We really try to incorporate encryption in our business in a lot of different areas. So, and tokenization, especially when it comes to things such as credit cards, that it makes sure anybody who gets that data, because I'm not going to say if, but when. I don't think it's that drastic, but it's something is constantly under threat. And so making sure that you've done everything you can, that you can avoid people getting into systems, the proper securities, the proper protocols. Multi-factor authentication is going to become a big thing. It's even more so. It's invaded every piece of our lives, right? We constantly have to have our cell phone with us to be able to log into systems. That will keep people out. But if they get in, what can they do with what they've got? And that's something to make sure that the encryption and tokenization pieces are in place. But these are all critical things. They're not new. It's just constantly being enhanced because those that try to get it are constantly trying.
Yeah, it's always a threat. In fact, I overheard a 60 Minutes thing the other day on seniors getting bilked a lot by AI impersonating grandchildren and everything else. So bad guys, Bob Bertrand from Concord used to always say, bad guys are always, that's all their job. And they're always pondering ways to cheat and rob. So
if only they could redirect that energy, right, to something good. But hey, that's what they do, and that's what keeps a lot of security. And we even had that conversation, I think it was last ARTA, where we talked to some of the folks in the FBI who had really looked at schemes that were causing folks to, psychologically saying, I'm not going to give up on this. I'm not going to give up. Now, I'm not sure if software can protect that so much, but that's something where understanding the trends of what your cells look like could warn or at least preempt folks so that they're thinking about what's real and what's not. That's probably something on the horizon.
Right. So, Mike, just to wind up, what is your idea of the future scape of your business or timeshare technology in the future?
Yeah, I see a big thing, especially, so these are some of the areas where I see a lot of folks interested in really getting that process that many of us have experienced for a couple of years now in the hotel space, where I have digital keys or electronic keys, or I can use my phone to get into systems. Of course, that's a huge hardware cost, but that's one of the things that we see that's big on the horizon and that we've begun to incorporate as well. We see the AI piece. This is where even that access to, hey, can I get into my room or check in using facial recognition? That's something that's very intriguing that's on the horizon as well. As well as these pieces of where AI really gives folks, guests, owners saying, hey, AI, I think I'm talking to somebody real, or I want to talk to you like I talk to a normal person. Start telling me where I can go, what I should do, and really help you drill down to where that experience is that you want. That's really exciting. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's on the horizon, and being able to have the systems and the data to feed those AI resources so that people can easily find that kind of information. But yeah, I think that's really going to be the big thing, is instead of just the cost savings from the employee side, it's really the guest experience of the booking process. I think those are some big ones that are there. Absolutely. We're constantly looking for ways to incorporate those things,
and giving them travel tips or ideas too. That's a great idea.
Yeah, not only the activities that they could do in their stay, but really where they want to go, especially as you're looking across a set of different properties. What makes sense for me? Hey, I've got this area in mind, or I've got this idea in mind, and letting AI drill down. I mean, many of us have played with the chat GPTs of the world and just tried some different things, and getting that wording right is actually a human process of breaking it down where you are. So those recommendations that lead you to the next question help you get to something more where you want to be, rather than I've got to do all that thinking.
Right. Well, very interesting. I think we could probably even speak longer about these things.
Always.
But I wanted to make sure that people can reach you.
So you can reach me at mike.norton@TimesShareWare.com.
Well, that wraps up our conversation for today, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of Mike back here again soon. Mike, thank you. You did such a lovely job. So if you found this conversation valuable, do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It really helps. Hit the like button, share the video with your team, and most of all, go ahead and give us a comment, what else you'd like to see, or what you thought. We really would appreciate it. Your feedback helps us create content that's specifically designed for the individuals and professionals in the timeshare resort and travel club industry. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.